Okay, so for this question, it says each advert costs £7.25 every 1,000 people. So that's the key part, every 1,000 people watching. One day, 180,000. Now, why have I crossed off the 3 zeros? Well, by ignoring that 1,000, it's just like saying 180 lots of £7.25. So it's getting your head around this bit here, which is still a little bit confusing. A lot of you may have done 180,000 times 7.25, but it's actually 180. From 6 till 7, there were 15 adverts, show that the total price was this, or total cost. So like I just said, I started by doing 180 times £7.25, which gives me £1,305 per advert. Okay, you could have done it slightly differently, but that's the way I've gone. Then I know there are 15 adverts, so I've done 1,305 times by 15 adverts, which gives me a cost of 19,575, which is what I needed to show. So the only way you can get the mark is if your workings look similar to this. You may have done it a slightly different way though. Okay, it says look at the chart on the table in the box on the next page. Altogether, how much was paid for adverts between 7 and 10? So, got to be a little bit careful because, again, this is in thousands. We know that we can just multiply these numbers here by £7.25. So, however, the number of adverts shown per hour was slightly different. 24 for this hour, 20 for this hour, and 16 for this hour. So you're going to have to work it out separately. So what I'm going to start by doing is finding out exactly the same workings as last time. How many people here? Well, as you can see, 20, 40, 60, 80 is what it's going up in. So it's going up in 20s. So 360, 20 adverts, 24 adverts, sorry. So what have I done for this first part? Well, between 7 and 8, that's the time. I've done 360 people times by £7.25. Then I've multiplied that answer by 24 because there were 24 adverts, 62,640. And then, first between 8 and 9, I'll use the number 300, and I'll be multiplying my answer then by 20. So let's double check I've done that. 300 times £7.25. Then I've times that answer by 20, 43,500. And then for the last one, 9 till 10. Go up and across 280. So 280 people times by £7.25. Multiply that answer by 16 because there were 16 adverts this time. Again, where did that come from? By here, the 16. Then for your total answer, nice and simple, add them all up, 138,620. So for 2 marks, it would be attempting to multiply the number of people by £7.25. Your second mark then is for having these answers. Your third mark for final answer. Television channel is paid on average £250,000 per 24 hours. So the nearest £1 million, how much would this television channel be from adverts in a year? So how much money would they make? Hopefully you know there's 365 days in a year, which is why I've done 250,000 times by 365, because 24 hours is obviously 1 day. With that answer, I've got a nice big number, 91,250,000. Well, to the nearest million, I've got to round this now, 6 digits for million. So would this round to 91 or 92? Well, it round to 91 million. So if you try to multiply by the 365, you get a mark, and then your final answer for 91. Okay. If you add these two numbers, then divide the result by 5, the answer is 14. Work out the missing number. Well, all I've done is write down what I would do. Well, I would add 18 to a number I don't know. Then with that answer, so it's just an arrow, with that answer I would divide by 5 and it would give me 14. So it's kind of a flow chart. So what am I going to do now? Go backwards. So I've written that there. I'll start with 14. How would I find out what's in this box? Well, it'd be 14 times 5, because you have to do the opposite when you go back in maths. So this would be 70. So 18 plus something is 70, so I'll do the opposite and take it away, which gives me 52. So I know the missing number has to be 52. 1 mark for 70, 1 mark for 52. Okay, for this one then, the total cost of 2 large robots and 4 small robots is 128. So that's all of this, says there. What it says here though is a large robot is twice the cost of a small robot. So if a large one is twice the cost of these, it just tells me that 1 large is going to be the same as 2 small. So you could replace a large one with another 2 small. what is the cost of a large robot? So I've written here 2 large, it's actually going to be 4 small now. So I'll show you that again. If you've got 1 large, it's exactly the same as having 2 small. So now we've got 2 large, it's going to be 2 small, 4 small in total. But it wasn't 4 small, which equaled 128. It was the 4 small here and the other 4 we started with. So in total, therefore, we have 8 small. So if 8 small equal 128, divide 128 by 8, which is going to be for your first mark, because the answer is 16. Then with the 16, I'm going to multiply by 2. Why? Because it did say for the large robot, it is twice the cost of a small robot. So for your second mark, 32. Thomas throws 2 6-sided dice and adds the numbers to find the scores. Score 7. Show that why the range, the highest take away the lowest of the possible scores, is 10. So what is the highest? Well, you can only make 6 and 6. 6 and 6 is 12. Then what is my lowest? Well, 1 and 1, which is 2. So if I take them away, the range has to be 10. The only way you get in the mark is if you show 6 and 6, 1 and 1 gives you 12 and 2. The next question says, what is the range of the possible scores of 3 6-sided dice? Well, what have I done here? I've just had a look and said 6, 6 and another 6 is the biggest. The smallest is 1, 1 and 1. 18 and 3 has a gap of 15. So for the 1 mark, 15. So I'm now going to use that to help me with the next question. It now says the range of the possible scores is 35. How many dice would you have? Well, what you can notice is the gap after the range when there was 2 dice was 10. The range when there was 3 dice was 15. So I'm assuming the range when there was 4 dice would be 20. So let's just have a look. 2 dice is 10. Well, 3 dice, yes, it would be a range of 15 because 3 times, if you had 3 dice, sorry, no, I've done 3 dice. If we had 4 dice, then it would obviously be 4 6s, 24, take away 4 1s, which is 20. So hopefully you can see there's a pattern, it's going up in 5s. So I'm just going to keep going up in 5s until eventually my range is 35. And how many dice would I need? Well, nice and simple, 7 dice. 1 mark there if you've decided to try and find the range of a couple of these dice is. Obviously your second mark for the answer is 7. Right, bit of reading, make sure you fully understand what it means. 10% of people, so if there was 100 people, 10%, 10 of them, would be left-handed. About 56% of the left-handed people, so that's 56% of these 10%, are boys or men. So that's why I've written 56% of the 10%. Got to get your head around that. There are 3,100,000 people in Wales. How many of them are likely to be left-handed men or boys? Well, you're going to start by finding 10%, so you get 1 mark for that. Divide by 10, that's going to be 310,000. But then you've got to find 56% of that. So a few different ways you could find 56%, but because you've got a calculator, what I've done is I've just written 56 over 100, because it's the same as 56%. 56 over 100. Then I'm going to times that by 310,000, not 3,100,000, which gives me a final answer of 173,600. So 1 mark for finding 10%, your other mark for the final answer. Okay, last page. Pupils have centimetre cubes. So because they're centimetre cubes, you know every length has to be the same. Rian wants to make a solid cube, 5 by 5 by 5. Show why she needs a total of 125 centimetre cubes. So that means you would need, let's have a look at my diagram first. If it's 5 by 5 by 5, why is this going to be 125? Well, effectively, you need a row of 5 going down there, which means another row of 5 going down there, and then you need 5 going up. So I'm not going to keep drawing this. I am going to stop because it's going to get a bit silly. But eventually, what you would need is 5 around here, 5 around here, etc. Well, the easiest way to do that is to find the volume of this cube, which would be 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5, which is the same as cubing a number. That's where it comes from. So the volume would be 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125 centimetres cubed, which just means the same as 125 centimetre cubes. So for 1 mark, all you have to do is 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, for the next one, Mark wants to make a 5 by 5 by 5 centimeter cube, but inside will be hollow. What is the smallest number of centimeter cubes that he will need? So you're going to take out another square inside it. So imagine this is the front face. You would have 25, 5 down, 5 across, 25 in total. But you're not going to remove these from the inside. Sorry, if this is the front shape, this is how large the square would be inside it. But obviously you'd have to leave the front row spare, because you only want it hollow inside, so you won't be able to see it. So how big is that cube? Well, that's 3. So if we know that it's 3 inside, it's got to be 3 by 3 by 3, the cube inside, which we need to take out. So the cube removed inside must be 3 by 3 by 3. So I've multiplied them, which is 27. You get a mark for that. So then to find out how many are left, I'm going to use my answer from the previous question, take away the 27, which gives me an answer of 98. So for attempting to take away from 125, again, you get a mark, and then your final answer of 98 centimeters cubed, or centimeter cubes.